about 1:15, maybe a minute or two after. Either way, it's still Saturday afternoon. It is also February the 10th, 2024. Countdown for Super Bowl for those who watch and celebrate Super Bowl as a national holiday. May as well be for those who are passionate about it. And there are plenty who are. I'm not one of them, but you know, I don't fault people for who am I anyway to fault anyone for anything. We like what we like. We find passion where we find passion, and all of it's good. Um, you know, there's things I could pick apart for football, but what would be the point? I do worry. I have concerns about the health of players. But you know what? Football is a sport as well as baseball, and basketball to some extent, as well as others, that brings the country together. People put aside differences and they watch the game. They celebrate it. You can see it on social media. So, hey, anything that accomplishes that is certainly okay. I'm a little late coming here for the live session today because I just posted a video of a Canadian goose paddling around, minding its own business. I'm assuming it's a he. I didn't see actual physical proof, nor did I look for actual physical proof. But the females are starting to prepare nest. So they are less active right now. Getting their, if not have laid their eggs, they're getting ready to lay their eggs. So it is the male goose that is swimming about looking for food to help feed their family. Geese are family orientated. They mate for life. I can appreciate that about a goose. I can appreciate that about a person, if it so happens to be. But they're also very, very devoted to their family. And come egg hatching time, when there is goslings about, you will not find a more fierce creature than a goose. They will protect their young with all they have. Against size makes no difference. I've had geese come towards me, even being a safe distance from their goslings. But as far as they're concerned, that was still too close. They don't mess around. They went after Misty, our dog, one day, and she has yet to recover from that horrifying experience, harrowing experience. Our friend Destiny Forever Walks PhD is here. Thanks for joining, Destiny. Always appreciate it. Happy Saturday, Eric. How are you? I'm doing well. We had a long walk, Mocha, Missy, and I. We our usual route, but we stopped. We took the video of the goose, of some ducks who were bobbing in the water, diving down, search for food. But the most amazing thing, as we were returning, getting closer to home, just hitting the pond after wandering through the woods, we heard two barn owls communicating with each other. It doesn't happen often in daytime. I hear them pretty often at night in my morning walks, which is still dark, so it's not surprising. But in broad daylight. But in February, the female owl is laying her eggs, and the male owl is hunting and will spend more time in daylight. So we heard the sound of them calling back and forth and went wandering through the woods to try to track them down to get some photos and a video. And thanks to the patience and skill of Mocha, we were able to get some. So stay tuned for some of those videos. I plan on, as often as I'm able, to post videos of just local wildlife, what we see when we're walking, whatever that might be. And what interests me is virtually everything. So, you might see a video of a interesting rock or a tree or a stream. We did one of a mini waterfall in my neighborhood that I absolutely love. Um, so a couple people have asked me, do I plan on changing directions of my channel? My channel has no direction other than my own personal expression. So it can go in any direction that I go. And I go, as you can tell by listening to me, I go everywhere. Um, it's a wonderful thing about creativity. You're not bound to one aspect. Let yourself be free. Create in all manners of creativity. Tap into that innate sense of creativity. The entire universe was created, and I mention this all the time, from that infinitely small pinprick of energy and just expanded. The most creative act in existence ever. Um, According to yogic philosophy, it is the very breath of God. The universe expands as a breath, and then it contracts again, and that just repeats. And that's the cycle of the universal order. There was no single Big Bang. There's just the big banging, the continuation. Destiny says, geese and owls, quite interesting. What's new coming? Well, I'm in search of beavers. We have beavers in my neighborhood, but I've only seen one once. We see their activity everywhere, and I hear them in the distance. When they feel that someone's too close, they'll bang their tail, slap their tail against the water. It's a great sound. So hopefully I'll get some videos of beavers. There are plenty of foxes that I'd like to get on film. I'm not very good at photography or filmmaking. Mocha is. Most of the work that you'll see is going to be her stuff, unless it's early morning. I'm the only one crazy enough to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning to wander through the woods. So I'd like to get some fox. There is an occasional coyote that wanders through. I've yet to see one in my neighborhood. I heard one, but I'd love to find one and get a photo or video. Last year we had a bear wander through. If I can get a bear in my neighborhood, even better. All kinds of birds, owls, hawks, occasionally an eagle, lots of vultures and buzzards, tons of crows, ravens, and not just the Baltimore ravens. Chickadees. Mercinger ducks are new to my neighborhood, so hopefully we'll get some videos of them. Squirrels and rabbits. I love squirrels and rabbits. Anything that I can capture. Again, even my favorite trees. Sometimes I know Destiny doesn't, but sometimes it seems people in general will take trees for granted and not appreciating the fact that they're actual beings, which just amazes me. When you think about it, though, a rock is a being. It's a being with an extremely slow vibratory rate, but a being nonetheless. Does it possess its own consciousness? It doesn't need to possess its own consciousness. It's consciousness itself. None of us possess our own individual consciousness. All of us are just conscious beings within this great universal consciousness. But we are channeled down into finite form. We're an individual expression of consciousness. And we have the ability to bring our own sense of beingness to this form. However, that can also backfire, because then we begin to view ourselves as separate from, not just from each other, which creates all kinds of conflict, but from the environment itself, from the universe itself. Destiny says there are always signs and synchronicities, synchronization coming from nature. The universe is speaking to you. Again, what's new coming in your life? Keep observing the different animals coming to you. Um, wise words, very insightful. I've been, I've considered, especially my early morning walks, a shamanistic journey. So part of the um, direction of my channel with the nature videos will be sort of a shamanistic interpretation. Here's the wonderful thing about shamanism. You don't need an actual shaman to interpret these things for you. Be your own shaman. Interpret what nature's telling you. Only you can do that. Now, it can be helpful to have someone who might be more in tune with the rhythm of nature, to the stillness of nature. But that doesn't necessarily mean they have insights into you. Only you have that. So, hey, if you're lucky enough to have a shaman nearby, get some help. If not, just spend that time in nature and ask. If you see a fox, ask the fox, what are you telling me? I have tons of writing on my blog of these experiences where I simply interpret what I see. Does it mean it's factual or whatever? It doesn't need to be. As Destiny said, it's nature, the universe speaking to me. Why wouldn't it speak to me? If we have a voice in our head, our own personality saying stuff to us, then why wouldn't our larger and more real personality, the universe itself, nature itself, speak to us? If anything, the voice of nature is going to be clearer than the voice of my ego, because my ego has very few concerns, and all of them lead back to me, 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 me. Ego wants one thing, and that's survival. It wants what it wants. It wants instant gratification, doesn't want to wait, and once it gets that gratification, it just wants more. That's why George Harrison sang, I, me, mine. The entire song is about the ego. All through the day, all through the night, singing, I, me, mine, I, be mine, I, be mine. The ego. You don't need to transcend the ego. Just recognize it. It's a voice. It's a fiction. It's not who you really are. You are the awareness that gets to observe that voice. And in the very act of observation, we begin to sink into silence. Our mind gets quiet. It no longer has that incessant tug of I, me, mine. It's still present. It just gets less. And we learn to be responsive instead of reactive. Every time the ego tugs in one direction, we don't have to turn and run in that direction. Not any longer. Not once you see it. That's the entire path of yoga. It's the entire path of Buddhism. It's the entire path of shamanism and Taoism and any other ism you want to throw out there. If you get to the bottom line of Christianity, it's being Christ-like. Jesus gave directions, instructions, how to live a life of Christ consciousness, how to be the Christ, period. Not being Christian, how to be the Christ. Remember that Christ is actually a title. It's actually a distinction. It's a consciousness. So we can all achieve Christ consciousness. As a matter of fact, we're all supposed to achieve Christ consciousness. We have wasted our spiritual opportunity if we don't achieve Christ consciousness. And the amazing thing is, it's not really an achievement. It's not really something that we attain. It's simply something that we realize because it's already present. It's right here, right now. Cosmic consciousness, Christ consciousness, universal consciousness, whatever you want to call it. Enlightenment, awakening. I prefer the term awakening. Awakening has softer undertones to it. And it's continuous. We think of enlightenment as this big thing that we get if we meditate long enough, if we do our spiritual discipline strict enough. But awakening, we awaken every day. Our eyes flutter open and there's the day. What an amazing thing. Every day we go into this, every night we go into this deep sleep, and everything vanishes. And in that deep sleep, and as Destiny would say, the absolute, the energy, the prana, the essence of who we are, manifests an entire world that is simply here when we open our eyes. Every single day. That's awakening. Now we just have to double down on that awakening and see the reality of this world for what it is. That it's continuous, seamless. It's not one thing becoming another, it's simply one thing. Universal order. So, all that from seeing a duck. That's the sign. That's what the sign shows. The amazing thing in nature and seeing things like this, I keep saying the amazing thing because in fact it's all absolutely amazing. If you don't wake up every day and be astounded by something, it's a wasted day. And how do you be astounded? Just watch everything. Watch a cloud. If you can't be astounded by a cloud, you're not going to be astounded by anything. Listen to the breeze, watch a stream, sit by a lake, touch a tree, do a burpee, and marvel at the fact the biological, physiological, kinesiological ability to generate the energy to do a single burpee and then to do another and another and another. So yeah, life is astonishing. I have a friend who has a podcast, and he calls it the Gospel of Astonishment, and I absolutely love that. And that's his spiritual practice, to be astonished. What did I just see? A friend of mine on Facebook. Let's see if I can find it. And that really is a spiritual practice, because we've been trained at life, we've been trained through life not to be astonished anymore. And I tell that story from Anthony de Mella, the East Indian born Jesuit priest who retained the non-dual essence of his Vedic yogic background even through his love of Christianity, his love of Jesus. And the two aren't mutually exclusive. You'll find in the deep love of Jesus, the Bhakti path, Bhakti meaning devotion, the Bhakti path of loving Jesus or loving Mary. It's pure devotional. Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita says Bhakti Yoga is one of the ways of God realization. So if you are truly loving Jesus and not for self-worship, as in Jesus being a reflection of us, that the Jesus with the strictness and the rules, you got to fall in love with the essence of Jesus, the one that would wander in the desert through the wilderness, contemplating his own love for God, the Jesus of the cross that forgave everyone for what they did, with the wisest words I think that might be in the Bible: "Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do." That's yogic literature right there. One of the very essence of yoga and Buddhism is that we are caught in an illusion. We don't know what we do. And that's the core of awakening. To awaken, now we know what we do. So, let's see what I can find here. Destiny says, every day we are awakening to our higher consciousness. We travel through the wheel of the chakras to come face to face to God. One day, I believe that as well. Our divine creator and higher power, sharing thoughts. I appreciate sharing those thoughts. And that's the great thing about our conversation, is how those thoughts come up. Sometimes I'm tempted to keep a notebook. Well, I always have several notebooks by my side, um, but to have one open and write as we talk, the insights that just keep flowing. So, let's see. This is from Dogen Zenji, Zen master. I don't remember which century. It has actually been attributed to Henry Miller, but Henry Miller did not say this. He actually got it from his own study of Zen. I'm a big fan of Henry Miller, by the way. Um, the moment one gives close attention to anything, even a blade of grass, it becomes a mysterious, awesome, indescribably magnificent world in itself. That's Zen in the essence. Our attention. Our attention is a lens of pure awareness, ultimate awareness. So when we fire that lens, that pinpointed lens of attention on anything, then the entire universal awareness opens up. We are acting as the lens of the universe to know itself through whatever it is that we observe. And in essence, then, the observed and the observer become one thing. The witness is the witnessed. We're such deep, deep participants in the world that we are actually the happening itself. Whatever we observe is just an aspect of self being observed. Extremely lucky that we can do that. So I was telling the story of Anthony DeMello, and I didn't really go off track because it's all related, but I did distract myself for good cause, because the Dogen Zenji quote is fitting. But Anthony DeMello tells of, and I believe he's quoting Jake Krishnamurti, that when we're kids, we used to see magical, feathered, flying creatures soaring through the air, playing through the currents, going through the clouds. Absolutely amazing, absolutely astonishing. And so one day, somebody walked by and said, "Oh, a sparrow." Gave it a name, gave it a label. And we no longer saw the magic. It was just a bird. It was just a sparrow. I see him every day. And we walk away. To awaken is to regain that magic again, so that it's no longer just a sparrow. It's that winged, beautiful, mysterious, flying creature. That's getting back to astonishment. That's the gospel, as my friend James Plath, his name, Plath. If you're looking for a great channel, James Plath has a wonderful channel. That's the gospel of astonishment. He has a book by that name as well. You can get it on Amazon. James Plath. I have a quote. I'm actually glad that, well, I'm always glad that Destiny is here, but her and I have been trading IMs lately. Both of us, really, that's the end of spiritual pursuit right there. Just realizing the I am. And as Nisargadatta Maharishi, in the seminal classic I Am That, which is the book of my life. I have been reading it for 30 years. Not understanding it for the first 20. Maybe only now really getting its essence. Nisargadatta Maharishi is a teacher, was a teacher of Niskara Yoga, which is natural yoga, the yoga of spontaneity and creativity. Nothing set. Everything comes back to I am. And a wonderful quote. I could really just read the whole book. But this is a quote for Destiny here. All will come as you go on. Take the first step. All blessings come from within. Turn within. I am, you know. Be with it all the time. Be with it all the time you can spare until you revert to it spontaneously. There's no simpler and easier way. What he's saying is you already know I am. Do you exist? One question to ask. Do you exist? The answer is yes, for me. Looking within, asking myself, do I exist? Self-inquiry. And the answer is yes. Do I need to know anything more? That's the presence itself. I know that I'm alive. I know that I'm aware that I'm alive. I know that I'm aware of being aware. Who is it that's aware? Who am I? Those are the questions of self-inquiry. And don't accept any glib answer. Well, I am whatever. I'm a man. I'm a burpee practitioner. I'm a yoga teacher. I'm a this, I'm a that. You're not. Those are things you do. Who are you? Who am I? Keep going back to I am. I am. That presence alone is who and what you are. It's the teaching of Nisargadatta Maharishi. That's the teachings of Ramana Maharishi. That's the teaching of Jesus. Not in the same words, not in the same language, but in the same essence. When Jesus says the kingdom of heaven is within, where was he pointing? When he said that I am the Son and I am the Father, there's the answer. When Moses was receiving the Ten Commandments and he asked the burning bush, Mount Sinai, right? Who should I say gave me this? Who should I say I spoke to? And the Lord said, I am that which I am. Destiny says, I Am That is a great book to read. It is. And again, there's really 3 ways of reading it for me. I read it, I might start at the beginning and try to read it all the way through. Sometimes I get through all the way, sometimes I don't. More often than not, I will pick it up from wherever, just open it and start reading from there, or I'll just open it and read whatever draws my eye, whatever passage draws my eye, and I can do that throughout the day, and it invokes this deep, deep sense of presence, bringing me back to I am. Destiny says, I agree with that quote. Yes, I do exist, and also I exist and existed in time. I am that presence alone. Perfectly said. I love highlighting things, but eventually the entire book will be highlighted. Now, there's a mention in here, and I Am That, very brief, and I missed it for years. Douglas Harding. Somebody went to go see Nisargadatta Maharishi and said it was after visiting with Douglas Harding. Douglas Harding has the simplest way of awakening, the simplest way of self-realization. And it's simply pointing at your own head. Looking in this direction, not looking at the finger, I'm looking at where the finger is pointing. And what do I see? Point at the floor and note that it's a floor, that it's a thing, that it has, my floor is a mess and it needs to be vacuumed. but it also has a carpet. And right now I got a few papers laying down. It's an object. Then I point at my feet, and I notice that my feet are objects. They can move. They seem to be separate. They have their own unique form. If I keep going up, I point at my chest, and my chest is an object. It's a thing existing in space, seems to be existing in time. I keep moving up, and I point. This is where I'm told my head is. I'm pointing. Do I see my head? Do I see my face? What do I personally see? Looking with the eyes of a child, looking with pure innocence, playfulness, curiosity. If you were a kid and you were looking for your head, if you were a child and you were looking for your head, what would you see? I see a tip of my nose. I see the outline of glasses. But where are they coming from? They're coming from absolutely nothing, because if I look in this direction, I don't see a face. In fact, I never have. I've never seen my own face. When I am standing face to face with you, we're trading places. I hold your face as my own, and you hold my face as your own. I believe I'm much more fortunate than you are, because I get to hold your face as mine. We're trading, that's the whole essence of Namaste. The space that I am, the emptiness that I am, salutes and holds and offers the capacity to be to you. This emptiness salutes and holds your emptiness, and we trade places. It's pure devotional love, that my emptiness is there as capacity to hold you, and your emptiness is there as capacity to hold me. Some might argue, well, I have seen my face. I see it in the mirror. You see a reflection. Is that face yours? You? Does it have a reality of its own? Does a photograph have a reality of its own? A drawing, a painting? You personally have never seen your own eyes. It's just emptiness. However, think about that emptiness. Because if I keep looking, I notice within this emptiness, there's an entire room appearing. There's books, there's a computer screen, there's a phone screen right in front of me. If I go outside, this emptiness expands, this awareness expands, and I have an entire neighborhood. I look up and I have an entire sky. I have an entire universe that is all happening right here. My aware emptiness is the capacity for the entire universe to simply be, beingness, presence itself. And all I had to do was point. The essence of Zen, instant awakening, right there, pointing at your own emptiness. Remember the Heart Sutra. Emptiness is form. Form is emptiness. Is being the most important word there. Doesn't say that emptiness becomes form. It doesn't say that form reverts back to emptiness. It says it already is right now. Whenever I tell that story, I find myself tapping the table, my desk, for emphasis. Because it appears the desk is form. I can hear it. I can feel it. I stub my toe on it every other day. And yet, in ultimate reality, at the same time, this form is completely empty. 99.99 infinitely so emptiness. Particles dancing around space in order to make this desktop appear. Sometimes I think about that when I'm writing, because what a blessing that these particular particles decided to dance this desk into existence so that I have the opportunity to write something. And how can I not take advantage of that? The universe is asking me to write. It made a desk for me. It made keyboards for me. It gave me a computer screen. Today, it manifested a camera and a goose and owls right in front of me. How can I not share that? That's what I mean, that we're creative beings. because the universe itself is creativity. Destiny says we can never see our own face, so our eyes become the windows to the soul, to the souls. The thoughts keep coming, and I have to analyze them. That's the wonderful thing about awakening. And it's not just a thought, it's a special kind of thought. It's an awakened thought. It's an energy, an essence. It's a pointer. Thoughts are never the thing, as they say in NLP, that the map is not the territory, or the menu is not the meal. So a thought is not the thing, but it's a representation of the thing. It gives us a pointer, a place to look. That's why the Tao Te Ching begins with the Tao that can be told is not the true Tao. Or, of course, Course in Miracles, that words, thoughts, are just symbols twice removed. Symbols of symbols twice removed. So, I'm going to read one more thing before we go. It's getting to be my meditation time. I posted this on my Facebook page. If anyone watches this and they have their own Facebook and they want to be friends, Eric McCarty, look me up. Always happy to. Everything I write every day is posted on Facebook directly from my blog. So if anyone wants to read the things that I do, and above all, I consider myself a writer. I don't consider myself a teacher. I'm just someone who writes. I'm someone who seeks inspiration and then writes that which has come. This is from William S. Burroughs. Fantastic writer. Naked Lunch. A little disturbed, but you know what? Sometimes some of the best people are disturbed. This is a little off topic. What does the money machine eat? It eats youth, spontaneity, life, beauty, and above all, it eats creativity. It eats quality and shits quantity. The reason why I quote that is because we spend our life pursuing the things that have less value than we think they do. We have this life, we have this beingness, we have this reality. As I said, it ties into what I was saying about the desk being manifested for me to write. If I don't take advantage of that, if I don't take advantage of it now, it may never come again. Maybe the universe will stop manifesting desks for me because I don't need them, I don't use them. Chasing after money just for the sense of money. I'm not saying there isn't importance to money, because we do have bills to pay, we do have food to buy, but the money machine, feeding into it, it eats our youth, our spontaneity, life, beauty, and above all, it eats creativity. Don't feed the money machine your creativity. Meaning, don't just keep seeking the material over and over, or the materialistic over and over again. Give some time. Do like Destiny Forever Walks PhD. Go outside and simply spend some time with a tree. Put your hands on the tree. Communicate. Feel the essence. Share the space. Give your empty capacity for the tree to be. It's a blessing. So, with that, guys, I'm going to say goodbye. We'll see you later. You can see my goose video on YouTube. It's just a goose paddling around. But the entire universe conspired to have that goose right there. So, share in that moment. Share in that moment with you, the goose, and the universe, because it's a pretty special occasion. Give yourself the chance to be astonished by a Canadian goose. Or go outside and find yourself astonished at something else and share it with me. I'd absolutely love that. So, guys, thank you. Destiny, thank you. Always inspired when I share company with you. And check out my friend James Plath, The Gospel of Astonishment. I will see you guys tomorrow. Take care, guys.